Hey guys, so I have two simple tips to help you achieve a more cinematic look to your videos. Regardless of the frame rate that you're shooting at, whether it be 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, or 30 frames per second, what you want to always remember is to lock your shutter speed at double your frame rate. So if I'm shooting at 30 frames per second, I want to lock my shutter speed at 1/60th of a second. It's called the 180-degree shutter rule. I won't go into the specifics of the rule, just always remember double down, or rather double up. So 30 frames per second, you want to shoot at 1/60th of a second. So why that matters is motion blur. So take a look at this clip real quick. As you can see, the motion is very smooth, there's nice motion blur, and it looks very natural. Now I'm going to bump the shutter speed up to 1/400th of a second. As you can see, the motion is very jittery, and the movement doesn't look natural at all. So, simple rule of thumb, always shoot at a shutter speed that is double your frame rate. Okay, so for tip number 2, I'm going to show you the importance of having one of these in your kit. It's a variable neutral density filter, or ND filter for short. What an ND filter does is it sits in front of your camera on your lens, and it allows you to control the amount of light that comes into your camera. So why don't you come outside with me and take a look and see how this works. Okay, so here we are outside, and it's very bright out. My shutter speed is set to 1/60th of a second, my ISO is set to 100, and my aperture is set to 18. And as you can tell, everything is in focus, which isn't a bad thing, but if you're going for that cinematic look, you really want to create a depth of field and kind of make your subject pop and have a nice blur going on in the background. So to achieve this, we take out our handy variable ND filter. Pop this guy on like that. First, I know I want to take my aperture down to 4, so I'm going to take my aperture all the way down to 4 and then slowly turn the ND filter until everything is just right with the exposure of the frame. And as you can tell now, we have a nice depth of field in the background and our subject is in focus. So, neutral density filter, glass does matter, and since this can have a great impact on the quality of your shot, I would suggest going with the higher end ones. But definitely a must-have in your camera kit. So, quick recap. Tip number 1, double up your shutter speed based on your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 30, hit 1/60th of a second. If you're shooting at 24, there's no 1/48th of a second in there, so the closest you're going to get is 1/50th of a second for your shutter speed. Go with that, totally fine. And neutral density filter, get one of these. It will save you when you are shooting outside or in brightly lit situations. All right. Thanks for watching.